Good morning and welcome to a different kind of set for Table Talk with Brenda Perryman. And I am so excited. This is going to be such a great show. And besides, I have gifts for my co hosts. And I'd like to introduce my co hosts, or they can introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Cheryl Ajamu. I'm owner of the Ajamu Group, and we produce the Multicultural Media Luncheon during the Detroit Auto Show.
Dr. Rose Moten, clinical psychologist and author of Bloom 7 Steps to Personal Transformation.
Bloom,
Bloom.
7 steps. It has to be dramatic like that. Bloom, 7 steps. And also, everybody, if you've heard of Club Penta, we used to party there back in the day. Well, there's going to be a Club Penta reunion of folks who used to embrace and come to and party at Club Penta, and then the people who wanted to come but just didn't on August 29th, that's next Friday, at the Hotel St. Regis from 6 p.m. to 2 p.m. 2 a.m., sorry. Um, and if you want more information, call 313-319-2343. Club Penta reunion, and you know they'll be doing the hustle there too. So the hustle, that is quite a dance. Do either of you do the hustle?
I think I know three. All that turbo and whatever they were talking about, I get off the floor when that starts.
I have no idea, but I do have to do on this day in African American Life in Detroit, written by our own Ken Coleman, who's now a delegate, a precinct delegate too. So he's going to miss our thing
Awesome.
tomorrow up in our little table talk appreciation. But I want to read something from that. In 1967, before the two of you were born, the Michigan Chronicle reports that that's a 1981, and this is something you all might remember this, but I'm going to go back to 67 in a minute. They reported that barrier breaking WJBK TV2 anchor woman Beverly Payne Draper has resigned with the Southfield based cable affiliate. Beverly Payne was just a gorgeous woman, and she did the news. You weren't here, but
Yeah, I vaguely
she
remember
was
that name.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
She gorgeous. And she was the first black woman in the Detroit area to be a lead anchor woman. And they will continue to present her position hosting the 12 p.m. and 6 o'clock newscast. She got a 3-year deal, $800,000, and back in the day, that was good money.
Today,
Yeah.
that's good
Good
money.
Oh yeah, yeah, right. Now, in 1967, I have to give this. Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell, Your Precious Love is released on the Tamla label, written by Nick Ashford and Valerie Simpson, who also did The Boss. They wrote The Boss, my theme music for my first show.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, they were bad. And it was produced by Harvey Fuqua and Johnny Bristol, who were right here. In fact, they made them here. They made them music here. So, I mean, Detroit has such a legacy. Like, there's no excuse for any bad behavior in Detroit.
Yeah.
Now, we have a lot to discuss.
Yes.
We're going to talk about Ferguson first. And I'm sure we have so many feelings about what's happening.
Yes.
And I was telling Shaka Senghor, who was on earlier, about the fact that, you know, I have men in my life. I have, besides my son and his sons and my other grandson, there are just men, you know, your husband, men I just love. And it seems like black men have a target on their backs. Can you
Yeah.
give, I think everybody knows what happened, but who wants to give the quick review
You want to do it?
of what
ba-
happened to Michael?
Yeah, well, basically, the whole world knows about it, I'm
Yeah.
sure, because I think it was yesterday heard that they're protesting outside of U.S. embassies around the world, too, which I find interesting, and we can talk about that a little later. But Saturday, August 9th, young man Michael Brown was walking in the middle of the street in Ferguson, Missouri. Police officer told him to get out of the street, and so allegedly there were words like we're almost at our destination. Long story short, the kid ends up dead, shot 6 times. The autopsies last week revealed, and it has sparked massive protests in the area. National Guard, words from our president, like I said, international outrage. And once again, we find ourselves in this situation where it seems like the value of a young black man's life is basically non-existent, and we don't know all the facts of what happened. But I was, before the show, Cheryl and I were talking, and Michael Brown it was just a straw that broke the back, it sounds like, in this city, because the more you hear, the more it sounds like this has been an ongoing issue.
Because even at Northland, remember the gentleman who was killed at Northland?
Yes.
I mean, they had all those guards around him, where it might have taken just 2 to succumb,
Yeah.
to get him down and handcuffed if that was necessary. And he kept on saying, "I can't breathe." The same thing that
Yes.
Eric Garner said.
Yeah,
Yes.
in New York. So we're seeing, it's just seems to be an influx, with Trayvon Martin. It didn't start with Trayvon, but that's the most recent in history that has sparked so much national, international outrage about just the lack of value that seems to be on young black men's lives.
They don't have to be that young either.
No, just a male,
Yeah.
black male, I think.
Now, Cheryl, you grew up in the South. Well, Tennessee is kind of the South.
It's the South.
Did they have issues with police brutality down there?
Yes, just because of the whole civil rights. Most people, when you think of Memphis, they always say that's a place where Martin Luther King got killed. I mean, that's
Yes.
just a fact
Yeah.
of it. So yeah, we've always had issues with that in Memphis. It's very economically segregated in Memphis, still to this day. I mean, there are still some areas, but I mean, when I go home, I can still see a lot of the segregation and a lot of the disparities between, a lot of people that I know, they have to work more than one job because they're not paying the money down there. That was the first thing I noticed when I moved here. I thought I had a pretty good job until I moved here, and I was like, I've been underpaid
Oh, wow.
all these years. We're, just the economics down there. You got to work 2 and 3 jobs just to make it. That's, for one person.
My goodness. And we think about it. My nephew is a New York City cop. And so, Eric Gardner who said, "I can't breathe."
Yeah.
I mean, and they played that over and over. And I only watched it once. I couldn't watch it
Yeah.
again. The chokehold. And I was just talking to one of my former students who's a bodyguard over in Royal Oak. He said they've stopped us from using the chokehold because they have been using it. He's
Yeah.
not a bodyguard, he's a bouncer.
Yes.
They have been using it all over, and because of this,
Yeah.
they've stopped them
Well,
from
good.
using the chokehold.
Yeah.
But it seemed to be accepted.
Yes. And still accepted, I'm sure.
Yeah.
This is bringing light to it.
Yeah.
Right.
These incidents bringing light to a lot
Right.
of things, not just the chokehold, but
People are coming out
Yeah.
with things, and I just saw a video. This young man getting shot in. Oh, I forgot what city. I don't know if it was St. Louis, but
Oh,
it was
near Ferguson, the one that they said had the knife.
well, not that one. It was St. Louis, the one who had the knife. But there was also this guy was laying there on the ground, and you saw the blood just streaming down. And this was near a driveway area. It wasn't the one at the Walgreens or the
Yeah.
guy had the knife and so forth. My thing is, why can't you just shoot him in the legs or something?
Well, you're taught to, I have a CCW, and what you're taught in class, and I know policemen are taught this too, is to, when you shoot, you better shoot to kill.
Really?
Seriously, yeah. Because the whole ideal of protection, like for a citizen with a CCW, is to protect yourself. And shooting in the leg, you don't know if the person could have a gun or, come back at you. So when they train you, the ideal is not shoot to injure, it's shoot to kill. But again, that's in situations where it would be
Your life,
warranted.
and a stranger in your life.
Life is
but
in jeopardy.
Police people should get a different kind of training, though. I mean,
Well, I'm sure they're taught that.
Yeah, but
And then the thing is the taser. See, tasers are different because they have tasers to just, stop someone
Right.
in their tracks or what
Right.
have you, which you wonder if that was something available to him at that time, the officer at that time. But who knows? We still don't know all the details that happen. It's so many different dynamics in this because you also have the dynamics when it comes to police officers. Over the years, I've treated few officers, but more of their family members and loved ones, because that's a job, a position that in some ways equates to what military people experience. You're on the front lines every day. They oftentimes become desensitized to things that we're very sensitive to. And you wonder if this could be a case here. When you're watching traumatic and witnessing traumatic events day in, day out, you have no choice. It's just part of your human design to protect yourself, to become desensitized. And you wonder if this is happening to a lot of officers, where they desensitize themselves to the reality of, what that gun is going to do, and start to have these power complexes of and
Right.
taking them
Yeah.
too
right.
far.
Now, I looked at the autopsy diagram.
Yeah.
Now, in theater, I know this may sound crazy, but we look at things, do they make sense? We look at how a person might fall, certain things compared to the wounds that they get. And to me, if you look at his right hand, he had to have his hands up like this because everything is inside. It's inside. That makes total
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And look at in his neck. I mean, no, the bullet came out of his eye down to his neck. I mean, this is so brutal. And the one in the top of his head. So if he had it, his arms had to be up.
And
Wow.
that last shot at the top, he had to be going down.
Down.
So that meant he wasn't
Right.
a threat anymore. So why was he still shooting?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they have already put him on trial. They put Michael Brown on trial.
I think it was D.L. Hughley's show where he said, we're the only country where the victim has to defend themselves on trial. Like the murder victim is
Right.
on
Right.
trial.
It happened with Trayvon
Yes,
Martin.
absolutely.
It happened with Trayvon Martin. And because he was talking to someone on the phone, that Rachel,
Yeah.
and he was telling her, well, somebody's following me, all this stuff. They knew how to get with her when she got on the stand with her,
Yeah. Disability.
Yes, they really utilized
Manipulated that, yeah.
And then not only that, they had someone on the jury who manipulated the jury. I mean, it just makes you so angry. It makes you so angry. But, people are complaining. They're saying, because I gave you all the timetable
Yes.
of things that had happened. And I knew about this before it got on the news because one of my students lives there, former students, and she posted it on Facebook and said they shot this guy and he's still laying on there. This was before names, before
Wow.
anything. They had not reported it on the news. And that guy, he laid there for so
Yeah,
long. That was
that's what I
so
hear.
inhuman.
They
Yes.
said like 4 hours.
Yes.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Well, it's unfortunate, ridiculous, but the fact is they have to go there and really investigate that crime scene. So that's the reason why.
Well, but they did not take him to the hospital. They didn't. They took him in a van. They took him in something. They didn't even take him in the regular
Yeah, yeah.
the car or that they're supposed to take him in. And we talk about they treat young men like dogs. Well, I think they treat dogs better because Michael, what's his
Yeah,
name?
they would save them.
Yeah,
It would be a
Oh, yeah.
protest.
yeah.
if
Remember
people would
he,
just have
Michael
to-
Vick.
Michael Vick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they wanted to kill him for a dog. That's something.
They tried
but
him. He
then
did his
what
time,
got
didn't
me,
he?
and I know I'm going to be criticized about this. There was a woman on Cliff Russell's show yesterday, and she has a book about relationships. She calls it the Relationship Bible, and she said how to make that puppy into something good and not a dog. So she uses the term, all these kennel terms throughout her book, and she's a black woman. And I got very upset because black men are already being treated like dogs.
No.
We cannot perpetuate that. You know, I mean, really. Now, what I admire, people are marching up and down the streets all day.
Yeah. Yeah.
My issue is they need to protest with their wallet.
Thank you. I was getting ready to say don't
I'm
buy
okay for that,
anything.
but you know, you can shut some people down when you stop.
The
spending
Rosa
Right.
Parks proved
Rosa
that, right?
Parks-
With the bus boy.
It's the
Right.
economics of it
Yes.
all.
The
Absolutely.
bus boycott, you have to sacrifice. You have to. These people walk to work, or they carpool
Yeah.
to work. They got
figured it out.
anywhere they could, but they're just walking up and down the street. They, you know, I could see people making lunches for these people, making, you know, coming over. Come on, here, this is for you, and so forth. And our own Jessica Care Moore's down there. She went down there a couple of days ago. The poet Jessica,
Wow.
and she's been talking to people and everything. I wanted to go. I wanted to go so
Yeah,
bad.
it's you can have this urge because I hadn't even thought about it. I saw an article where women have gone down there. I don't know if they were nurses or if they were nuns or what, but they've set up stations where people can come and they're giving them hugs. I
Yeah.
mean, they're just and letting them talk. Because that's the one thing that's so important. You have to let these people who have, it's not just, again, Michael Brown. People have been experiencing this their whole lives that live in this area, and they just want to talk and process just the trauma that they've experienced being subjected to, the treatment that they've been subjected to for all these years. And I thought that was a great ideal. Again, like you said, marching, yeah, that's cool, but let your wallet speak
Well,
for
see,
you.
I'm not a marcher. I wasn't a marcher when I
Or a
could
hustler.
march. Hustler. You know, I choose my battles. But, well, remember, like, on Electric Boogaloo, those movies, they used to fight with breakdance.
Yeah.
I didn't do that either. But, seriously, I like to be at the front lines. I like to talk to people. I'm a frontline person. And I like to talk to people and say, look, let's strategize.
Yeah.
And that's what you could do, strategize.
Yeah.
It was considered a sunset city back in the day because with sunset, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
but-
Ferguson
Town.
was really.
yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
They were out very, very early in the
Yeah.
morning because I watched the news from 5 something in the morning.
Yeah.
I just kind of, it's on, and I've seen them out there. And you got to be out there, but let's do something. Let's bring our own food. Let's help each other and everything.
And not
And vote.
and vote.
That was
That's-
the other thing they
because-
said.
I'm just looking at just the statistics
Yes.
of
The
there's
police
no
force.
representation that is reflective of that community. So that means that they have allowed and not gone out to vote because they had to have known all those things were going on, but they weren't going out to vote. So guess what? The people who have the wealth have the jobs, they have the power, and then they just capitalize on the community. So
Yeah.
they're making money off them through traffic tickets, you know, they're shopping. They're not reaping any benefits from that.
Excellent, Cheryl.
Great point.
Absolutely. That was a great. And not only that, the mayor ran unopposed.
What does that
And
tell
he
you?
has been, I've seen him on television. He's a knucklehead. He has said things, I don't care if he knows. He has said things where we all get along in our community. And they said, even the black people are in line with what you're saying. And he said, yes, they are, knowing that's a lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and one of the things that we were talking about also is just, you know, some of the media are using this opportunity to be opportunists to get their sales out there, and some of our historical civil rights leader. I don't know if you saw
Yes.
the video
Oh,
yesterday with them
Jesse Jackson.
confronting Jesse Jackson.
Thank you.
There was also video of Don Lemon being called
Oh,
out.
I saw that. I was getting ready to bring that up.
Yes. I mean, these
Don Lemon
people are not playing.
Don Lemon. They keep him on because he's a black man who always is on the other side.
You know, one of the things watching both those videos that I that came across to me was that these people are not impressed by your celebrity, Jesse Jackson
you.
or Don Lemon. They are not there to be on camera and get their 5 minutes of fame. When I say they're the people
I
who are
appreciate
feeling the
that.
pain and the protesters,
Right.
they want to see change. And so they are calling the people that are coming there, and they're transparent with their reasons as far as just wanting to, make a bigger name for themselves. They're calling these folks out. They are
Good.
calling them out, and just
They
looking at the
booed
interview.
Jesse
Yes.
Jackson, too.
Yes, they said you're not marching. You're sitting in a car. You can't, wrap your hands around a front line for a photo op, and then that was it. And they, really let him have it. The young man, Talib Kweli, who's very
I
well
saw
known,
that.
who's
I
a
saw
very,
that.
conscious rapper, been around for a long time. He let Don Lemon
Oh, I
have it.
appreciate it. If Don Lemon didn't want to let him talk,
Yes.
and it was.
If you haven't seen it, Google it. Go.
Yes, Don Lemon and Talib Kweli. It was just. I mean, he's horrible. I mean, Don Lemon. Why did they send him? Because he's got the black skin tone. I mean, why did they really send him? Because I've seen. He to me is more polarizing. He's a polarizing figure. Just the way he kind of talks down to people.
Well, it was apparent in that interview, especially when the young man said, "You didn't even know my name prior, how to pronounce my name or my name. You stayed on your phone until the camera started
Right.
rolling. You didn't even greet me
Thank
like a
you.
man should
You
greet a
didn't
man."
greet me, and that's what I love.
Yes.
The fact that he put down that he didn't greet him. Now, one night they arrested 73 people. Oh, that's my friend who came out of my hair, I guess. The
Do
bee.
you see it? Do you see it?
Yes, it's right in. Okay,
Oh my
everybody.
God.
I'm keeping my poise while all around me is going crazy. I am poised.
Wait
I'm-
a minute, Brenda. We got to get it.
Okay, they got it.
Blooper.
We are poised. It's a bumblebee, and we do not want bee stings, but I am being poised.
You
while all
are very
around-
good. That's the
I know.
actress in you.
Yeah, but if it
That
was
was a blooper.
if a bird, honey, I will be on top of this table. Birds get me. But the police came out in militarized vehicles. They were like the military. They came out like they were in Iraq.
Yeah.
Which was inappropriate.
It was
But
inappropriate.
you know,
a
I
message,
love the
too.
cell phone capturing. Did you see that someone captured one of the police officers? They had a machine gun in front of the protesters and had it, and they were like, "Why are you pointing this?"
Machine gun.
Yeah,
wow.
someone was recording it, and he
Wow.
cursed at them. They were like, "What's your name?" And he was like, "F you. That's my name."
Oh,
And he got suspended.
I did see that. He got suspended. I mean, this shows you the contempt.
that exists there, and it's been there for a while.
It's been there.
Yeah.
It has been there.
It's deeper than Michael Brown.
Yeah.
It's much deeper. But somebody last night on television, oh, I know. It was Charlie LaDuff. He was on Let It Rip. I intentionally watched this because they were going to talk about that. And he intentionally said, he said, I guess he was talking about size. He said, it's like Oak Park. Ferguson's like Oak Park.
In comparison, the size comparison?
It had to be size
Okay.
because he didn't explain it because, I don't see quite the same thing. It seems like they've had some training over there on how to treat young men because my son, when he was 16, before he had his license, had sneaked my car out while I was gone out
Those
with some
kids.
friends. And going to get that pizza, and on 9 Mile, and he didn't have a license. I guess he thought he knew how to drive, but he was coming back down Scotia going like 5 miles per hour, and
He
they
was being
stopped.
careful. He was
They
being
stopped
safe.
him for driving too slow, and that's when they knew he didn't. But they treated him with respect.
yeah.
And here he was the big basketball star of the town, and nobody wanted to tell me.
Yeah.
But his dad saw me at Tel 12 the next day and with Ryan, and he said, "Did he tell you he took your car and he got picked up?" So, but they treated him
Yeah.
with dignity.
And let's get it straight. There are officers that do that because
Yes.
they recognize I have that second child of mine
Yeah.
has been brought home twice. Not
Yeah.
no committing crimes, but outside with curfew where I thought he was in the bed,
Right.
and out there with friends. But both times the officers, I mean, and I explained this to him at that time, and especially around the Trayvon Martin, you better be lucky because, again,
You
there's
are
a
lucky.
target.
You
You
are.
are lucky because these officers, it could have went a completely different way. But being a mother of a black male, they're going to be adolescents. I'm
I know.
a psychologist. I have to explain to parents all the time. They're doing what kids do, drive you nuts. Okay, getting into trouble. How many mothers have had that happen, where the kids have ended up either at the police station or at the principal's office or brought home by the police? And the biggest fear is it could go either way. It could be one of those things we're laughing about now. He went out for pizza, didn't have a license, or went out because he decides he's going to go rescue
And
a
an
girl he's
officer,
interested in.
right? And an officer does not take that into account. That he's a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't take it in, and there are plenty of places where they don't.
Yeah,
take it in.
exactly. And we're just fortunate because we can tell these stories now and laugh about it with our sons because they encountered officers who, understood that and did not go to the next level with it. But another point I want to make, and I was listening, because again, there's so much talk about this. And one of the things I was hearing one of the radio hosts talk about is how important it is when these things happen. Like when Ryan was stopped by the police, I'm sure he was respectful. I'm sure he didn't, backtalk,
Right. He was scared. Mhm.
because again, we have to let our
We
men
have to
know
give 'em
you
the
have
story.
to be respectful.
We have to
you
give them.
you cannot try to confront these officers that we don't know where their mentality is. So it's just so much that we have to go through.
My nephew, who's the police officer, he says, "Auntie, I just get him. I talk to him. I say, you want some water? This and that. He handcuffs
Yeah.
him, all this stuff, but he doesn't treat him like, a dog.
Yeah.
And so many, there's this sense of superiority and power with some of them.
Yeah.
They get that gun.
Yeah.
They get this, and they own the world.
Yeah. And
And
with
there's no
some, not all, but
I
that's
said-
so true.
yeah.
Yeah, you did say that. But again, we have to stress to our young men too. You have to show respect. You have to, don't. It's not the talking back.
Put your hands on the steering wheel. Put,
Yeah.
just certain things they have to do. Men know what to do.
Yeah.
At least we
hope.
Yeah.
And my grandsons are young, but I have one grandson, Duder. He's a kind of big boy. He's 8 years old. He's the nicest kid you ever know, but people, because of his size.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm sure Michael Brown was a big guy.
6'4".
Yeah, he was.
This kid was big, 6'4", and a big guy.
Yes.
Very intimidating.
Right. So all we got to do is get rid of him, And because I think, and I said this in a paper in 1973, I said, as we go to the future, we're going to see more violence because of the way the demographics are changing with the minority, white people becoming a minority.
The browning of
I said
America.
that in the 70s. It's going to change, because there's a lot of covert racism that's going to become very
Yeah.
overt.
Yeah. Well, we talked about that. That's extinction burst.
Right.
What we call it in psychology.
Oh, really?
Where, people feel like if they are losing
Yes.
their footing, then
gotta
it's
get
a
rid of the
burst.
competition
It's
or
an
if-
increase of whatever behavior that we typically saw. All of a sudden, there's a big increase of that behavior because they just don't want
Right.
their
perceived power to be, in their perception, diminishing.
Wow. So what do you, well, I got to say, because I did post it on Facebook, was Eric Holder. I mean, there was something about this man who has been totally put upon
Yeah.
by the Congress, and they're been trying to get rid of him since he's been Attorney
Yeah.
General. And he spoke out about civil rights, and he said that was going to be his main thing, and he has proved it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he came in, and those people were so happy. And I don't think that Obama needed to go.
He's been called out, and even reading this, what people have to realize, he's doing stuff behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Right.
What he's he has a hand in this. He's making his
Oh,
statement.
yes.
And like you said, put Eric Holder out there, but he's doing what he needs to do behind the scene.
And he's dealing with so many other things
Yeah.
too.
Yes.
The young
Right.
man who got beheaded.
Yeah.
I can't. And then they had gone in to try to save that guy.
And we didn't
earlier.
know that.
We
So there's
didn't
a-
know
yeah.
that. There's a lot going on
Yeah.
that we don't know.
Yeah.
You know. Oh, by the way, ladies, I hate to bring this conversation to the end. Here is your iPhone exercise armband.
Oh.
Uh-huh. If that's for both of you.
Cute.
You exercise. These are for the guys who are doing World's Largest Hustle, August 30th.
Needed
Very
another
And,
one.
nice.
and then here, more
Oh.
earplugs.
Ooh.
Thank you.
It's like Christmas morning.
I know. And here, headbands.
Oh, let's go back to the 80s. I
I
can't
know. I said, when the white starts coming out of my head, I just put that headband on. But anyway, I enjoyed this. I know it was abbreviated. I know this is a little different. We'll be back to normal next week and everything. But thank you all. We didn't even get a chance to talk about suicide and depression. I really want to talk about
Or
that.
Monet Davis.
Or Monet Davis. Monet, right on, girl.
Girl.
I mean,
I know,
and,
yeah.
and the little Caucasian girls are just, they're excited for her and everything because she represents
Yeah.
women. And
Yeah.
we don't have to have a color thing, but
No.
Right.
it exists. So we will see you next week, everybody. Have a great one.